Welcome to the Dental Decoders podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Rogars, and I'm here to help you crack the code on all things dental operations. Each week, we dive into topics to help you overcome roadblocks, streamline operations, and reduce team burnout. Whether you're an owner, a practice manager, or a team member, this podcast is for you. Join us for insightful discussions, engaging interviews, and practical tips. So sit back and relax as we crack the code on all things dental operations together. Hello, Dental Decoders, and welcome back to this week's episode. I am so excited to have Samantha Jones with us today. Samantha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's really fun to be here. Thank you for having me.
Before we get started and we dig into all things about you, why don't you start, if we have any listeners who maybe don't know who you are, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Oh boy. So I'm Sam Jones, and I am a 30-year veteran in the dental industry. I started my career in dentistry when I was about 16 years old. It was my high school job, and I felt very fortunate to work in a dental practice as a 16-year-old. It was fun to wear scrubs to work, and I was really attracted to the team. I was an athlete in high school, and so I really felt this similar synergy of teamwork that I experienced on the court inside of the dental practice. And so I was really drawn to that. I really loved it. But I did not plan to make a career out of dentistry. That wasn't really at the time, it was not my vision or my journey. I wanted to be a journalist. I had some big plans to go to college and study journalism and travel the world and write and all those fun things. And life happened. Lifed me at the age of 19. Experienced a pretty significant tragedy in my life that very much redirected my career, my goals, my ideals, all of that. So I had a break-in in my ground level apartment, and it was pretty tragic. It was a very paralyzing moment at 19 years old, having first moved out of my parents' home. And there was a lot of aftermath from that. And so I oftentimes tell people that dentistry saved my life, because the aftermath that I dealt with from that tragedy really redirected what I needed to do next. And not too long after that incident happened, I did find out that I was going to be a mom. And one of the greatest blessings of my life, that's 23 years old now, was a pivotal moment for me in my life, in my career. And I knew that I really needed to get it together, and I needed to make a way for us, for him and I. And so I came back to dentistry. I found a job with a small, sweet little practice in Lawrence, Kansas. I was hired as a treatment coordinator. And through a lot of healing and therapy work, I journaled all the time. Journalism was what I wanted. So one of my healing modalities was writing. She told me, she says, you need to write. And one of the journal entries that I wrote, it was, watch out world, I'm going to be the best damn treatment coordinator this side of the Mississippi. It was the day before my first day, and I still look back on that. I reflected on that journal entry several years ago. I actually started a foundation called WOW Readiness Program, and it's based off of that acronym, Watch Out World. Because that moment it was big for me. I had a decision to make, right? Like, I was having to choose a path that I hadn't planned. And I either could be salty and sour about it, or I could embrace it and embody it and just go for it. So that's what I did. I stayed with that practice for 16 years. I was the treatment coordinator for 6 and then a practice manager for the other 10. I knew that I wanted to keep going. And so I did. I was lucky enough to work for an individual who allowed me to take every course and every class and go to every conference. Mm-hmm. He hired coaches, and I'm really lucky for that. I see that now, even though at times, some of the times I was like, man, really? Like another coach? Another one? I'm so grateful for all of those experiences, because not only was it part of the foundation of my knowledge base, but it also opened me up to what's possible in my own career. So I kept going. I was hired by a coaching company after that 16-year stint in my practice. I coached with a company for a long time, noticed a need while I was there. We were selling some pretty significantly large investment contracts. And there was a lot of dentists that needed our help that could not afford what we were offering. So I decided to create a coaching program that would serve those folks, serve that entry-level coaching dynamic, the people that needed it, but didn't really have 6 figures to invest at that point in time. But I couldn't just go out. I was a mom, right? I had to take care of my family and my kids. And for many of us who are entrepreneurs and start our own businesses, when we very first start out, there is no money that's like actually coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that dynamic was challenging, but I didn't want to give up on this idea that I could do something myself. And so I took a job as a COO for a single practice location in the Kansas City area. And they wanted to scale. They were dentists. There were two dentists. They needed to use their hands to make money, but they wanted to scale. They wanted to grow. And so they hired me to build out their operational infrastructure, which is what I did. So we grew fast. We grew from one practice to 10 in 4 very short years. It was very all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a huge, wonderful, beautiful learning curve for me. And it's been sort of the jumping off point to what is my company today. So I own a company called Cre8Wise Movement. And we are a digital tech company. We have a software program. So I'm a software creator, which at 19 years old, where I started, I could have never imagined that this is where I would be today. So it's very exciting to have traveled this journey. I've done it with my husband and my 2 beautiful children, and I just couldn't be more grateful to be here.
There are so many things I want to unpack in that and dig into. But before I do, I need to just share, I feel like we are living parallel lives, from the break-in to our kids getting us back into dentistry to helping grow from even the like number of practices, an office from 1 to 10 offices. Like all of the things are aligning with exactly what happened in my life.
Are we soul sisters?
I think we might have. Did we just become best friends?
We might have.
So I just had to start there because I got the chills at one point while you were talking. I'm like, this is kind of creepy.
I love that.
I know. It's very serendipitous, the people that we get to meet in this industry, especially when you have a podcast. Very much enjoyed all of that. Now that I'm done talking about me, I want to dig into Cre8Wise and talk about what that software is, what it looks like. Give me all the details on all of the things that it's able to do.
Yeah, so this is like my baby. I have been navigating this world for so long that it's funny. I think when I talk about this to a lot of people, there's this assumption that this was like an overnight idea and then boom, here it is. That is definitely not the case. This product that is like this tangible thing now, which I'll tell you all about here in a second, is the iteration of my 30-year career. It's the thing that started as a binder on a dusty binder on a shelf, and then turned into some messy Google Drive folders, and then turned into a pretty robust spreadsheet, and then turned into iteration after iteration in a software format. This software piece is heart-centered, first and foremost. This is what I would consider a solution to the challenges that I have not only experienced in my own career, but that I've seen hundreds of practices. Really at the heart of it, it's called Cre8Wise Task Management Software. So really, it automates all of the tasks that we see, that we do, that we operate inside of a practice. And I've always been a systems gal, like systems and processes, SOPs, whatever you call them. I call them SOPs. They work in the software. It looks good. It looks better than systems and processes. I've always been a systems girl, right? I think I've relied on understanding exactly what I'm supposed to do so that I can be the best version of myself within that particular operation. And this software is so much bigger than that. There's so much more to it than just a documented SOP. And so the software really, in a nutshell, just to get down to like logistics, is an automated task management software that allows us to see the tasks that every single team member has to navigate on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis. It keeps track of that in an automated software. It allows us to communicate as a team on several different levels around those tasks. Right now, we have a huge issue in our dental community of retention. Retaining team members has been a challenge since 2020, since COVID. It's just really something that I've never seen before in my 30 years in this industry, is this issue that we're having with retaining and training really strong team members. And so the software really supports that challenge. We sometimes don't even know what the tribal knowledge is around certain things things that people do. And so we're documenting that all in this software. It's got checklists. It's got videos that you can train your team member on. You can create videos that you share that are custom to your practice, how you want rooms set up. We can talk about the challenges that we have with some of the things that we do as individuals. It also highlights just exactly how much people are doing. I think we make a lot of us. I don't know about you, but I've heard a lot from a dentist. I don't even know what they're doing up there. That's something that I hear a lot. Have you heard that before?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and that makes me so sad because many times our administrative team is doing a lot up there and we don't see it because it's these like behind the scenes tasks. It's maybe not totally patient facing. And so the software really lines out like exactly what everybody is doing. And there's like an accountability piece to it, helps us hold everybody accountable. When somebody wants to go on vacation, they don't want to come back and have this backlog of all the things that they didn't get done because they weren't there. So the software allows us to actually create substitutes, like who could help me with this task while I'm away, so that when I come back, I'm coming back in without this heavy load of I shouldn't have taken a vacation in the first place. Because we've all felt that before. We have. That's very real. My goal in this software, to be honest, Brittany, was really centered around navigating my career as a single mom. There's a lot to balance when I'm managing a household and then I'm coming into work and I'm trying to be the best version of myself and I'm managing all of those tasks there. I really wanted to make it easy for other people to create balance on both sides of their life for that. I know that I couldn't go into a grocery store without a list. If not, I'm buying everything that looks good in the moment and probably maybe a fraction of what I actually need. And it's the same thing inside of our practices. If we don't see it and we don't have a good plan, we have to think about it harder. And 20% of our daily energy is used in the thinking brain. And so this sort of minimizes our like having to remember all of the things.
That is incredibly powerful to have in a tool. I have gone through so many different project management softwares in the last year to try and figure out how we're going to manage our day to day and who's doing what. And there's pieces of them that I like, definitely. But to be able to combine the project management aspect of it, the accountability piece, the coverage piece, having the SOPs, that is...
And there's a project management tool.
There's so many things.
Wait, there's more.
I love that. So for an office that maybe is just starting, maybe they're in that getting ready to grow phase. This is the office that I'm talking to the most often right now is dentists are trying to get the younger generation of dentists coming in. They're looking to start practices and grow them. So project management is something that they're going to be new to. Tell me a little bit more about how they can use your software to guide them through that process if they're just getting started and they've not looked at 9 other project management softwares ahead of time.
Yeah, I think the reason why I think ours is so special is it's because it's unique to our industry. Yeah. And it's thoughtfully built around how things actually work in a dental practice and how do we marry a project management tool to the already in place tasks that are happening in the day-to-day operation. Because oftentimes those two things are separate of each other, but yet very much impacting each other. We don't work in cubicles. We're doing our primary focus in dentistry is that the patient care and the patient experience. And so everything that we do behind the scenes is almost like a second thought half the time. And so I tried really hard to put all of these things in one package. And so from the project management standpoint, it's really a very simple tool that's inside of the software that allows us to create a project, design a project management team so we can automate who joins this team and they become part of the communication in that project. It relates directly to the tasks that we've assigned to each user. So each team member gets a user profile and has their own dashboard where they see their own job description on a daily basis to follow their checklist of, oh yeah, shoot, today's the day I need to send statements, or today's the day I'm cleaning traps, or today's the day. And as they see that, and we incorporate some of these other projects that allow us to scale and grow and do all of the things that we're all trying to do really in the industry, it marries that project management, the tasks, the steps, and the things that we have to do to actually navigate the project into the day-to-day operation so that it's streamlined and we're flowing while also still taking very good care of the patients that are, helping us grow.
Having it very specific to the industry, I think, is such a great resource, because how many times have you sat down? Maybe it's just me, but I've sat down so many
Probably
times
not.
to make a list of what did I do today? Like, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything, but what did I do today? So to have that list of daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks pre-built out for me, so I don't have to put as much thought into it. I'm like, oh yeah, I do send statements on Tuesdays. I think that's such an incredible tool. You don't have to actually sit there and write out, okay, what did I do today? What do I need to build on this list?
Yeah, I've been beta testing this for quite some time. And the feedback that I've received is that really what it's helping is for people to feel less overwhelmed with what they have to accomplish every day. Because so back in 2020, when we were all bored, we were trying to figure out what do we do because nobody's going to work today. I decided to get smarter and learn. And so I signed up to get certified in applied neuroscience. And it was the best thing I've ever done. It taught me so much about how the brain, the neuroscience of human behavior, what happens to us when we don't address certain things in our lives. And so this is very thoughtful of that. Like, this product is very thoughtful of how do we minimize the stress that's caused by so much thinking and so much energy that we exert from the brain organ, that we can minimize that and just alleviate some of that overwhelmed feeling. And so it's really designed to help us feel more accomplished and better and organized with what we're doing inside of the practice. This is really an organization tool at the heart of hearts, which I know I needed in my life, balancing both that work dynamic, leaving, and then jumping right in to managing my household, taking care of my children and my family. I needed that. I really did. And it turns out that many other people do as well. And I'm so grateful to be able to provide that for them.
I think one of the many things that is difficult for a front desk team member to manage is, like you said, everybody's patient facing, so everything else is like back burner. And then you just look at this giant checklist of things that you have to do, and it may be split into daily, weekly, monthly duties, but it's still just this huge, overwhelming list. And then you are like, this all looks pretty overwhelming. I'm going to focus on this thing over here instead. And then this list is the first thing that we skip. So having it all organized in a bite-sized way is great. I just started organizing my cupboards upstairs.
Yeah.
And it was like a whim project because I was avoiding my daily, weekly, monthly duties. Yeah. And now I'm on day 3 of trying to organize my cupboards because I didn't have a game plan on the front end. And I think that having something like this is so valuable to anybody who is trying to manage that checklist. I wanted to segue for a second and talk more about the communication piece of it.
Yeah.
Because one of the main things that really perked my ears up was the accountability piece and the communication piece. So I'd like to hear more about how this tool can help team members collaborate and communicate more efficiently inside their practice.
I love that question so much because I think that, I don't mean to get cheesy here, Brittany, but I genuinely believe that our world would be a better place if we really intentionally and lovingly focused more on communication everywhere. And so we didn't want to skip that part in the software. We recognized that there were opportunities to create space for people to communicate about several things inside of the software. So it gives you the option. First and foremost, I think what's most important is that it encourages innovation. So for someone who is working inside of a department in a dental practice, admin, dental assistants, wherever you land, you have ideas. There are ideas. You think of ideas that could make your life, the patient's life, the practice's life better. And so the software gives space for us to actually attach an innovative idea through a communication piece. Again, it's all automated. It can go to the person that it needs to go to right through the software. So we've created a section for innovative ideas. In addition to that, we need to communicate about the things that are challenging in the work that we do. So in some cases, something isn't working and it needs to be remedied. The SOP or the system needs to be redefined or reevaluated. And so we're able to actually note it and tag it and communicate about it right in there. We can also communicate about the greatness that we see. So our software really wanted to make sure that not only is there an accountability piece, so we're all holding each other accountable to the things that we need to do to keep the operation in flow, but we're also able to say thank you and congratulate each other on the awesomeness that it takes to do exactly that. So there's a recognition component to the software that identifies and congratulates someone after they've completed a series of 10 tasks. They're going to get a shout out in the inside of the software. Aside from that, it gives the admin or the person that's really monitoring the usage of the software the ability to see where there's excellence in performance and where where somebody might need a little bit of help, or maybe a conversation is needed because they're struggling to get everything done. And maybe that's because there's 75 daily tasks and they don't have the time or capacity for it. And we never realized that because we never looked at it in a compartment like that. So it really hits all of the marks. I've got a lot of practices that use the software for positive performance reviews, for coaching performance reviews. It's a helpful tool to navigate the things that we're asking each team member to do and really seeing how they're able to navigate that and if it's realistic and working and going well, or we need some more training. So
That's amazing. So I like that it shouts you out when you've done your task too, because gratitude is one of our core values here. And I think
I'm a gratitude gal.
Perfect. See, I should have known. I love that it offers that piece as well. When we think about accountability, a lot of times it has this like negative undertone to it where it's like punitive almost, like I'm going to get in trouble. And I think it's important to highlight the fact that accountability is also celebrating wins. So I love that the software has that feature and just all of the different things that it has in there. Organization is my love language. So I'm super excited that I got to learn more about this today. If anybody else is listening and they're super excited about everything they got to learn today and they want to know more about you and about the software and all the things, how can they find you and where do they find you?
You can find me all over social. It's Samantha Jones and then Cre8Wise movement. Cre8Wise is spelled kind of fun. So it's CRE, the number 8, WISE. So you can find us all over social channels. But if you're interested in learning more about this software or taking a peek under the hood, we would actually love for you to look at it and experience it. We'd love your feedback. We'd love to know what you think. And you can actually email jason@cre8wise.com to schedule a demo. And then I love to talk. So if anybody ever wanted to just chat and learn more, they would be more than welcome to reach out to me at Samantha@cre8wise.com.
Thank you so much. I will put the links to everything in the show notes so people will be able to reach out to you and your team and learn more about everything that you guys are doing, try and get more organized inside their practice. As we start to wrap today's episode, we always end the episode with our signature question, which is, in your life and career, what has been your decoding moment or your secret code that's allowed you to be successful?
Well, I could probably think of several different decoding moments that I've experienced that have navigated me to what I define as success. But I think one of the biggest things that comes to mind is I had a sort of an epiphany at one point in time in my career. And it was a place of like pain, right? A lot of times our growth comes from a place of discomfort and suffering. I'm no different. Same here. So I had this moment where I found myself in this like really unhealthy state of being, of just comparison, like looking at other successful people and trying to fit into that box or be that person or do what that person was doing, or I need to be more like that person. That was the self-talk that I was experiencing at the time. And I think through my own suffering and sort of, I don't even know when it clicked, but at some point it clicked that like, why am I doing that? That doesn't make sense. Like I'm who I am, and that's enough. And I have something to give and something to offer, and I should just embrace my truest self and just lean into that. And so when I laid down the sort of the comparison to what other successful people were doing and trying to put myself in that box, I think that really changed things for me. And where I think we can learn from smart people and we can try to understand other people's paths, we shouldn't try to put ourselves in a box in that. We should really just embrace who we truly are at the core. And no matter what that looks like, just be you. And for me, that was, I think, really a decoding moment.
That's beautiful. Authenticity is huge for me, and it's one of the many things that I'm super passionate about and that I talk very vocally about. So again, just another small moment where we align.
Okay, so like we're definitely best friends now.
I know. And you're in Kansas. I'm in Wisconsin. We're not that far away from each other. So
no. I mean, a quick drive.
I know. Right? By Midwest standards, it's a quick drive. Oh, Samantha, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time to join us. And I can't wait to keep in touch and follow all things that you guys are doing.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Dental Decoders podcast. We hope you took away a valuable piece of information. As always, don't forget to rate, share, and subscribe to help us build our community of dental decoders. We look forward to seeing you for next week's episode.